An event called Barbie Dreamfest recently took place, marketed as a large-scale fan convention centered around Barbie culture. Tickets were priced at $300 for a 3-day pass. Some attendees spent close to $1,000 when you factor in travel and hotel costs. The event featured guest speakers, including Serena Williams and Angel Reese. On paper, it sounded like a legitimate cultural event with recognizable names attached to it. In reality, it was something very different. When attendees arrived, they found near empty halls, sparse decorations, cardboard cutouts, and a general atmosphere that did not match what was advertised. One attendee walked up to guest services and asked, "Is this it?" The staff member replied that they had been hearing that question all day. That single exchange tells you everything you need to know about how this event unfolded. This is not just a story about a poorly organized convention. This is a story about brand management, public perception, and what happens when a public figure's team makes the wrong call on where and how they show up. For Angel Reese specifically, an athlete who has built her identity around visibility and confidence, an empty room is not just an inconvenience. It is a moment that people remember. Ready for part 2? Say next. Next to 31 AMPART 2. Angel Reese's moment on an empty stage. Angel Reese took the stage at Barbie Dreamfest and delivered a composed, thoughtful message. She spoke about turning setbacks into growth, about resilience, and about encouraging women to dream bigger. The words themselves were fine. The message was genuine, but the room was nearly empty. And that is the problem. It does not matter how strong your message is if there is no audience to receive it. In public appearances, context is everything. The visual of a speaker addressing an empty hall does not communicate strength. It communicates the opposite. And in the age of social media, that visual travels fast, gets clipped, gets shared, and becomes the story, regardless of what was actually said. Angel Reese has spent the last 2 years building one of the more recognizable profiles in women's basketball. She understands how attention works. She has used it effectively at times. But this appearance raises a serious question about the quality of decisions being made around her public schedule. Who approved this booking? Who vetted this event before her name was attached to it? Because the warning signs were there. An event of this scale, with this level of organization, does not fall apart overnight. These things show in advance. When you are a public figure at Angel Reese's level of visibility, every appearance either adds to your brand or subtracts from it. There is very little neutral ground. This appearance subtracted. There is a pattern worth examining here, and it goes beyond one bad event. Angel Reese is a talented athlete with genuine star potential. She has the personality, the confidence, and the competitive drive that brands and media platforms look for. None of that is in question. What is in question is the decision-making happening around her off the court. Booking a public figure at an event requires due diligence. You research the organizer. You look at their track record. You assess the expected attendance. You evaluate whether the environment matches the image your client is trying to project. These are not complicated steps. They are standard practice in sports representation and celebrity management. None of that appears to have happened here. Reports from attendees describe the event as chaotic from the moment they arrived. The venue was sparse. The production was minimal. People who traveled from out of town felt misled. Some are reportedly considering legal action against the organizers. This was not a last-minute collapse. This was a fundamentally under-resourced event that was sold as something much larger than it ever was. And Angel Reese's team put her in the middle of it. For an athlete who is already navigating a competitive media landscape, where every move is analyzed and compared, this kind of misstep is costly. Not because of the event itself, but because of what it signals. It signals that the people managing her public presence are not doing their jobs at the level her career requires right now. That is the real story inside this story. It is impossible to discuss Angel Reese's public presence right now without acknowledging the comparison that continues to follow her career. That comparison is Caitlin Clark. This is not about rivalry on the court. That conversation has its own place. This is specifically about how two athletes at similar stages of their professional lives are managing their public profiles off the court and what the results look like. Caitlin Clark's public appearances draw packed rooms. Her events sell out. When she speaks, the attendance reflects the weight of her name. That is not an accident. It is the result of careful, deliberate brand management. The events her team selects are vetted. The environment she steps into match the image she has built. The result is that every appearance reinforces her standing rather than undermining it. That is the standard Angel Reese's team should be measuring against. The comparison keeps coming up not because media figures are trying to manufacture a rivalry, but because the contrast in outcomes keeps presenting itself. An empty room at Barbie Dreamfest versus a sold-out appearance elsewhere is not a small difference. It is a fundamental difference in how these two athletes are being positioned in the broader sports and culture conversation. Angel Reese does not need to be Caitlin Clark. She does not need to follow the same path or appeal to the same audience. But she does need a team around her that understands how to protect and grow what she has already built. Right now, the evidence suggests that team is not performing at the level her career demands. That gap, if it is not addressed, will continue to show. One empty room does not end a career. That needs to be said clearly. Angel Reese is still a professional athlete with a platform, a fan base, and years of competitive basketball ahead of her. A poorly attended convention appearance is not a career-defining moment in isolation, but it becomes meaningful when you place it inside a larger pattern of decisions that do not appear to be serving her long-term interests. The sports and entertainment landscape is unforgiving in one specific way. Momentum is real, perception is real, and both can shift faster than most people expect. An athlete's off-court brand is not separate from their career. It is part of it. Sponsors watch these moments. Media platforms watch these moments. The general public, which ultimately determines the size of an athlete's cultural footprint, watches these moments too. What Angel Reese needs right now is not a better speech or a more polished public image. What she needs is better infrastructure. Smarter representation. People around her who understand not just how to book appearances, but how to build a career arc that holds up over time. The Barbie Dreamfest situation is a correctable mistake. Most mistakes in this business are. But correction requires honest acknowledgement that something went wrong and a clear commitment to raising the standard going forward. The talent is there. The profile is there. The opportunity is still very much there. But opportunity does not wait indefinitely. And in a media environment this competitive, the margin for these kinds of missteps is smaller than it has ever been. That is the real takeaway from this story.